Yankee Stadium, at least the current Yankee Stadium, in its final year of use. And the Mets, with a lot of energy, getting off the bus at the house that Ruth built. That should get the fan base pumped up. The Mets coming to Yankee Stadium for the first game of their rain-abbreviated Subway Series. Met fans making their way to the Bronx to meet the Yankees. Jason Giambi struggling, Derek Jeter doing what Jeter always does. And the Mets bound and determined to get things headed in the right direction as they get interleague play started. Moises Alou visiting the Bronx for the first time. From Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, it's the Subway Showdown presented by Heineken Premium Light as the New York Mets play the New York Yankees. Today's game is available in high definition, presented by IOTV, the leader in HD. Do you see in HD? And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Yankee Stadium. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets open their two-game series with the Yankees after the rainout last night. And the Subway Series now in its 12th year always brings a lot of excitement, but more importantly for both these teams, they need to get going. The Mets are a game under 500. The Yankees are in last place in the American League East, and they have different kind of concerns as they start this series.
Well, I think if you look at the Yankees, they know that they're going to get Posada back at some point. He was throwing today on the field, throwing very well, and they know they're going to get A-Rod back at some point. And I think that is the key. Pettitte, of course, pitching the ball game today. For the Mets, it's kind of different. I think that they've lost a little luster on their team. They're trying to get it back. They're trying to get their veterans going, trying to get their young leadoff hitter going. If they can do that, then they might be able to get on some kind of a roll.
And a little bit of pressure mounting on the Mets as the season gets a little deeper, and with all the attention paid to this series, what better time than this one to get going?
Well, if you can't get up for a game like this, and you can't get up for any game. And the Mets have been a team that have played well against the front division teams and have struggled against the second division teams. This is an opportunity for them, with all the stuff that's happened over the last couple days, to kind of right the ship. They've cleared the air in the clubhouse. I think that's a good thing. We'll see how they respond today against the Yankees.
And a little bit of pressure goes with the assignment for Johan Santana today. The Yankees declined to try and trade for him. The Mets ended up making the deal. Well, the Mets have won the last 5 games Santana has started.
He has. He's 3-0 with those 2 no decisions. The Mets have won those games, but Santana has not gone as deep as you think he'd go into those games. 10 hits given up in his last start against the Reds. I think the key for Santana, though, this is why you get a pitcher like this in a big game when you're trying to get on a roll. You want him out there, you want him to close the door, and we'll see if he can do it today.
Now, the Mets have been having to wade through a firestorm the last 48 hours. Billy Wagner making comments, seemingly calling out his teammates for not being responsive or available to the media, then significantly backing away from those comments yesterday as the Mets kind of close ranks a little bit.
Well, in a situation like that, you kind of hope that it's in-house that these things come out. But my feeling is this. This has been festering since last year, and if it stays in there, it just will get worse. So it's better that it all came out, and they can go forward from here, and we'll see how they respond.
Mets met for 45 minutes yesterday. The question is, does that push the team forward in the right direction?
Well, David Wright called it kind of a family thing. I think it's more like an intervention as they're trying to get their team going, and I think it's good that, like Keith said, they air it out, and let's get going and start playing some on-point, hustling baseball. That's what the Mets have to do.
So it's the Mets and the Yankees opening up their series. Johan Santana against Andy Pettitte. The Mets making their final trip to the old Yankee Stadium for 2008. Mets and Yankees coming right up. When you can't be home to watch the Mets on TV, check out MLB.tv. You can log on to the internet to watch every out-of-market Mets game of the season live. For more details, visit www.mets.com, where baseball is always on. Let's check out our Jeep around the majors. Last night, Jason Worth, 3 homers, 8 RBIs against the Blue Jays as the Phillies moved into a virtual tie for first place with the Marlins. Alfonso Soriano in the lone National League game, homered in each of the first 2 innings as the Cubs beat the Pirates. And also last night, the Rangers' Josh Hamilton, 5 for 5, couple of homers, 5 RBIs, as the Rangers doubled up the Astros 16-8 in the Silver Boot Series.
Worth's 8 RBIs tied a franchise record for the Phillies. Soriano, 5 home runs already this week, and Josh Hamilton and the Texas Rangers hit 6 total home runs against the Astros.
What a great trade that's been for both teams. Hamilton to Texas, Edinson Volquez to Cincinnati. Mets and Yankees on a gorgeous afternoon in New York. Come on back. First pitch is coming right up on SNY. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup for this afternoon. Damien Easley DHs. It would have been Marlon Anderson last night when Darryl Rasner, a right-hander, was going to take the mound with the lefty Pettitte going. Willie Randolph reworking things a little bit, moving Ryan Church up to the number 2 hole for his first game against the Yankees.
Well, Andy Pettitte, big game pitcher, making his 402nd start in his career. 167 wins with the Yankees. 168 will tie for 5th Bob Shockey.
First pitch of the afternoon. Reyes tries to bunt his way on, and it's a strike, and we're underway in the Bronx. Things have not been going well for Reyes as of late. Reyes with the on-base percentage at .328, with 60 or 70 points below where the Mets would like it to be. And he shoots one foul. Willie Randolph was talking about Reyes today. Said that he met with Jose behind closed doors a couple of days ago and asked him whether he was feeling pressure, because Reyes understands as well as anybody else how important he is to this team. And he said if you're feeling pressure, just brush it off your shoulders. He goes down swinging at a pitch out of the strike zone, and Pettitte fans Reyes on 3 pitches to start the game.
Look at the target by Chad Moeller, high in the strike zone. Fishing is Reyes.
And the Rico defense for the Yanks are Giambi at first, Abreu, the former Philly, in right field. They've got some guys filling in out there. Gonzalez at third and Chad Moeller behind the plate, of course. A-Rod on the DL and Posada on the DL.
So one away. Here's Ryan Church. Hitless in his last 6 at bats, and he swings at the fastball and misses.
Looks like Pettitte's throwing hard, Ronnie.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff pumped up.
What a big game pitcher Pettitte's been over his career in postseason. I've always loved his stuff and competitive spirit.
This has been a rough stretch for Andy, and really, if you go back to last winter, it's been a rough several months. First, his son was involved in an ATV accident, and then the whole Roger Clemens fiasco. And now over his last 4 starts, he's been getting roughed up. But he strikes out Church on 3 pitches. Throwing gas early. He's spanned the first 2 on just 6 pitches.
Very interesting. When you watch Pettitte, you always think of the ball down. But Chad Moeller's gotten him throwing the ball up. Even if the hitter does not swing, that's changed the eye level. You can go someplace after that. But the Mets are fishing so far early in this game.
Look at Pettitte. Wright is standing outside the batter's box, and Pettitte is in pitching position, ready to go.
Like pulling on a bow and arrow, locked.
He's got the jacked up pants. He's got all the socks showing. I love it.
And Wright takes a fastball letter high for a strike. 7 pitches, 7 strikes for Pettitte. David just 1 for his last 11, hitting at .268. And there's the first one out of the strike zone from Pettitte. Mike Riley, the home plate umpire this afternoon.
Well, David, of course, struggling against the right-handers, but as usual, up to form against lefties, hitting .450 so far this year against lefties.
And he hits that one toward the hole. Jeter on the backhand tries to get in position for that patented jumping throw, but the ball rolled to his hip, and Wright has an infield hit.
Well, that is that signature play for Derek Jeter. The backhand in the hole, jumping and leaping in the air and throwing with his momentum going away from first base, but couldn't get the exchange there. He had a chance to get David Wright, and the way Jeter makes that play over his career, I believe he would have gotten Wright, but that's a base hit.
So David's batting average against lefties gets a boost, and here's Carlos Beltran. Carlos riding an 8-game hitting streak, and Pettitte with a great pickoff move. You got to be careful with him.
He might pick off Jason Giambi there on that first pitch. Jason, of course, who really takes away some of that great strength. He plays in front of the bag, closer towards Pettitte, has to reach further back for that tag, so negates some of that great move by Pettitte.
Giambi has already played more games at first base this year than he did all of last year, when he DH'd most of the time. There's a strike to Beltran.
Well, he's got to be careful, too. And Ronnie knows the first base umpire, Bob Davidson. Balk and Bob, they call him. He's not afraid to call a balk. There he is. I remember when Bob came up his rookie year. I was with the Cardinals. But he is not afraid to call a balk.
Here's the entire umpiring crew: Riley, Davidson, Marquez, and Fletcher. And Pettitte throws over, and Wright just a step off the bag. Well, in 1987, they emphasized the balk rule, especially on the stop balks, and everybody called balks that year, and there were more balks called than than in any other season. And the next year, everybody else backed off except for Bob. He kept on calling just as many balks as everybody had the year before.
He moved. He didn't get the memo.
Bob was actually out of the major leagues for several years. One of the umpires involved in the mass resignations when the umpires union dissolved.
What a fiasco.
Wright runs. Beltran swings and misses at the off-speed pitch, and Moeller should not have thrown that ball. Wright easily steals his 6th of the year.
Well, so many good umpires were dismissed during that labor strife. Good changeup by Pettitte there. No chance to get David. So many good umpires were given their pink slip, and they just haven't been replaced.
Now Pettitte up on Beltran 0-2. And that off-speed pitch misses outside, 1-2.
Nope. I think Pettitte realizes he has to be careful with Beltran, but also he's got Alou looming in the on-deck circle. Beltran has since been swinging a very, very hot bat for the Mets.
Also been striking the first couple hitters on high fastballs. Beltran likes that ball up in the strike zone from the right side.
Carlos has good career numbers against Pettitte, hitting .353 against him. But he strikes out on the high fastball. Pettitte fans 3 in the opening inning. Wrapped around the infield, hit by David Wright. So Pettitte, who's been struggling, has come out throwing hard and high early in this game and getting the Mets chasing. Santana to the mound as we go to the bottom of the first. Here's your forward starting lineup for the Yankees, and conspicuous by their absence, Alex Rodriguez, who was supposed to make his return on Tuesday when the Yankees play the Orioles, and Jorge Posada, who's still at least 3 weeks away. So Yankee lineup not quite as threatening. They scored just 6 runs in 4 games in their last series against Tampa Bay.
Johan Santana with this 4-2 record, a low 3.10 ERA, but you just feel like he's going to take it to another level soon, and not great time to do it here at Yankee Stadium.
Johnny Damon leads off and takes low and away from Santana. Well, Damon has been putting a lot of pressure on himself publicly to try and jumpstart what has been a tepid Yankee lineup, and Santana misses outside with the fastball, 2-0.
A lot of left-handers in the Yankees lineup, as you saw, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a switch hitter in Cabrera. So 5 lefties, which is favorable to Santana, who gets both lefties and righties out. It doesn't make a bit of difference. But the Yankees are 4-7 against left-hand pitching this year.
And as a team, they're hitting .229 against lefties.
And only 6 home runs.
But Santana falls behind Damon 3-1. Well, the strategy in this ballpark has always been to throw lefties against the Yankees because of the short porch in right field.
The Yankees have always been a top-heavy left-handed lineup because of that porch.
And Damon taking all the way on 3-1, full count. See, only the White Sox have struggled more against left-handed pitching than have the Yankees. 3-2 to Damon, and he misses high with the fastball. So whereas Pettitte got the Mets to chase the high fastball, Santana couldn't get Damon to chase that one, and it's a leadoff walk for Damon.
And the Rico of Met defense is the only change is Alou's back in the lineup with the lefty Pettitte out there. Marlon Anderson back to the bench, and you can see Delgado, Castillo, Reyes right. It's the same cast of characters. This is the steady lineup right here, the A team for the New York Mets.
So now Bobby Abreu. Abreu had a 4-for-22 road trip, hitting at .282, but his on-base percentage is down from where you expect Abreu to be.
Well, they say he still goes deep in counts and takes a lot of pitches, but he's only got 16 walks on the year, which is, usually Abreu is a 100 walk guy.
You see this left field, Keith. I think it's worth mentioning. Moises Alou, first game in Yankee Stadium, playing in that vast left field. That could become a story in this afternoon's game.
And playing toward the line against the left-hand hitting Abreu. Big gap in left center. And a big cut and a miss. I asked Willie Randolph today why Alou in left field rather than DHing. He said, well, if we'd played last night, I would have DH'd him today, but Mo would rather play the field.
He's one of those hitters that does not like to DH. They like to be out there in that field. They feel it helps them with their hitting, gives them a feel for the game.
So Damian Easley is DHing today, and Alou is in the field. 0-2, and the breaking ball low. 1-2 to Abreu. Well, Santana has enjoyed pitching in this ballpark. 3-0 lifetime in the regular season, 1-1 in the postseason against the Yankees.
Well, this is a tough mark for Santana because the Yankees have always been a team of a lineup that's a patient lineup that can work the count, has a good idea, knowledge of the strike zone, and make Santana throw strikes.
1-2 to Abreu, misses inside, and you know the Tampa Bay pitching staff really made a point of pounding the strike zone. They even talked about it after that 4-game series in which they held the Yankees to 6 runs, not giving them a chance to work deep counts.
They're waiting for those young pitchers to throw balls early in the count. The only problem, they've matured, and they're much better than they were a couple of seasons ago.
Tampa Bay is sitting in first place in that American League East, a game and a half up.
How about that?
2-2 to Abreu, bounced slowly foul.
They're 8 games over 500 at this point. That's the key in any of these kind of events every year. You're trying to push to 10, right, Keith? And then you start to work till 20 over, and that's how you win a pennant.
And more importantly, as you look at the AL East, it's always the same. It's trite, it's cliche, but it's you try to build the 10, but you build to that 10 one day at a time.
Yes.
The most important game of the day is the game today.
Meanwhile, the Yankees in last place this late in the season for the first time since 1995. The year before their streak of postseason appearances began. And Abreu down swinging. Actually, it's the year it did begin, 1995, under Buck Showalter when they lost to Seattle that year.
Good changeup from Santana inside. Anytime a catcher sits inside to a left-handed hitter, you always assume it's going to be a fastball pounded in on the hands. Pulls the string, does Santana.
So 1 out and 1 on. And now Derek Jeter, who has had a knack for coming up big in these Subway Series games. A lifetime .381 hitter against the Mets, and as you see there, 15-game hitting streak against the Mets. Damon at first and 1 out. And Jeter takes a strike on the inside corner, 0-1.
Jeter's always good at trying to deke the umpire that inside called strike. And an umpire should never be fooled by any antics that a hitter does at the plate. That might have missed.
But he also does it so politely. You sure? You sure that was a strike?
Change up, hit in the air, deep down the left field line, right toward the pole, and it's out of here. Derek Jeter with a 2-run homer, his second of the year, and the Yankees jump out to a 2-0 lead.
Well, we've seen this sequence of pitches from Santana before. First pitch to a right-handed hitter, he pounds them in with that fastball, and then he counters again in with that changeup. This one up in the strike zone.
Oh, he got it inside, and Snyder was set up outside. He wanted it away, made a mistake.
And I was stayed true down the line.
And I was just going to say before that home run, if there ever was a game that the Mets needed Santana to pitch, step up and pitch a great game, it's tonight. And it's early. Against his 9th home run he's given up this year, Gary. 9
homers in 52 2/3 innings. That is a ton. Matsui takes a changeup for a strike, and it's 1-1. Hideki Matsui having a good year. He's hitting .314, 6th in the American League. And the Yankees really need that out of Matsui after he had a subpar season last year, especially now with A-Rod and Posada on the sidelines. Grounds that one out to the right side for Castillo, and Matsui retired 2 away. So Jeter, who didn't hit his first home run of the season until last week, now has his second, and he just continues to abuse the Mets. And this has been going on since we started interleague play 11 years ago.
I think he's a pretty proven big game player.
So Santana needs to kick it into gear. Certainly Pettitte was hitting on all cylinders in the first inning. Jason Giambi takes ball 1. Pettitte looks so focused in the top of the first inning.
Question, Ronnie.
Yes.
You've pitched games against when you go up against an ace.
Yeah.
John Tudor. You get up for that, don't you? Relish that?
You just love it. It's such a badge of honor if you can take down a great pitcher.
Giambi hitting just 181, but he has 7 home runs. And the fastball off the plate, 2-1.
You know, I guess I'll say that big game today, Johan Santana in Minnesota was always the man in small case letters. He's brought over here, and all of a sudden they're capitalized to be the man.
3-1. Well, certainly the spotlight is magnified, and Santana knew this was coming. You don't come to the big city and shirk the spotlight, and the spotlight is on today. Swing and a miss, big cut by Giambi, 3-2.
Well, Giambi's never going to get cheated up there, and you see his numbers against left-handers. Those are, boy, you kind of wish there's not a hole big enough to climb into with those numbers.
3-2, popped up behind the plate. Schneider has plenty of room, and that retires the side, but the Yankees get off to a fast start. A familiar Met foe. Jeter with his second home run of the year, a 2-run shot, and the Yankees take a 2-0 lead over Santana and the Mets. Moises Alou today playing in his 1,937th Major League game, his first ever at Yankee Stadium. Curveball ripped into left field, a base hit. So Pettitte going with back-to-back curveballs against Alou. That didn't work. Well, Alou just keeps on hitting.
A hanging curveball here, and they know Alou's a fastball hitter, and that's just a hanger, and he's lucky that Alou didn't lift it.
And everything happens for a reason. He missed with the first ball, curveball, so he knows he wants that fastball more, so let me get over a little curveball, and Alou was waiting.
So first at bat at Yankee Stadium, Alou has his first hit. Only took him to age 41 to get here, although he was here, Moises said, as a kid. When his dad Felipe played for the Yankees, he said he remembers being in the tunnel between the dugout and the clubhouse. As Delgado takes ball 1, he says, I hope I'm not getting anybody into trouble because I don't think I was supposed to be there.
Was he on the red line or the blue line?
Well, that's an inside joke. Place feels like a prison camp sometimes. Here's Delgado taking inside, 2-0. Delgado has great career numbers against Pettitte. 5 home runs, a .350 career average, but most of that came early in their matchups when Carlos was in Toronto. Carlos the focus of much of the conversation surrounding Billy Wagner's comments 48 hours ago. Late swing tapper at the plate, 1-1 and 2-1, and you know, Billy got together with Delgado yesterday privately before the team had their meeting to apologize for putting him in the spotlight.
Well, I think that Wagner also met with Willie Randolph privately, intercepted him before he got to the clubhouse, and tried to make amends. And I don't know, some things have to be out there. I think that everyday players, to tell you the truth, after being a former pitcher, don't want to hear a lot from pitchers. And you know, when Billy tends to do that, and listen, I like Billy when he's out there talking about stuff, because I think there's things that have been festering that the Mets should have talked about.
Well, the comments wouldn't have been made if they weren't there. It's something you don't make up. So my feeling, Gary, Ron, is you'd rather have it come out another way. You'd rather have it come out in-house and not a tabloid. Well, the only other way is get in a fist fight. So you're so gosh darn mad at each other. Maybe they'll wake them up.
Get in someone's face.
But not air it out in the public. But it's good that the air is clear. Like I said, this was, I believe, has been festering from last year, and it's a cancer, and it's only going to get worse. And if you don't get it out of there, get it out of the body, it's gonna be disastrous.
It was concerning to me, though, that Billy felt he had to back away from what he said. When he came in yesterday, he basically backtracked completely in a rather not credible way. Swing and a miss, and Delgado down swinging. That's 4 strikeouts the first 4 outs recorded by Pettitte.
Well, I will have to say to that after the heat of the game, you say a lot of things that you don't want to say as you see this breaking pitch from Pettitte. Sometimes you want to take stuff back, but I really think that Billy was speaking the truth, and I think whenever you speak the truth, I don't think you ever have to take it back. You shouldn't have to take it back. His mistake is he should have face to face with someone delivered that message.
He generalized too, and pointed over in the direction of the clubhouse where Beltran was, and it was very clear that Beltran and Reyes talked to the press after the game, and I think he lumped them into that group. Delgado evidently wasn't there, but Reyes and Beltran were there answering questions, and that's unfair.
Damian Easley DHing today, hitting a .227, and he takes it low 2-0. And to get to the larger issue, I'm not in the clubhouse after games.
Yeah.
They're before games every day. And, you talk to the writers, you talk to the Kevin Burkhardt, who's there every day, Eddie Coleman. And the bottom line is this, that David Wright and Billy Wagner are there in front of their lockers, but it's not just that. The other guys are there too. But when Beltran and Delgado speak, they tend to speak in bland fashion.
Yeah.
They're not good quotes. Whereas Wright and Wagner and last year LaDuca and Glavine, they were. And so those are the guys that the writers are going to go to. So it's not just who's available, it's who gives good quotes.
I agree with that, and that's where the newspaper people are going to go. But that being said, I think what happens when a team is struggling is that there's an obligation to your teammates to try to stand there as a man and explain what is going on and not leave it to a few people.
2-1 to Easley, hammered foul. It's 2-2.
Things have changed, of course. And listen, it's so complicated to be a ball player today with the blogs and YouTube and everything, all that crazy stuff. But that being said, part of the contract and part of the responsibility of being a professional and doing your job and making all this money is that you have to be there, available, talk to the media. It's just how it goes, whether you like it or not.
2-2 to Easley. He takes a called third strike. Easley down looking, 5 strikeouts, the first 5 outs for Andy Pettitte.
Well, it's interesting to see this backdoor breaking ball that Easley takes. In talking to Andy Pettitte, he said the one part of his game he's been really struggling with is his sinker away. So early in this game, what does he do? He pumps it up a little bit with high fastballs and really relies on his breaking ball.
So 2 out, Brian Schneider coming up. Kevin Burkhardt, you're in that clubhouse every day. What's your perspective?
Well, I think you guys are hitting it exactly as it is, guys. I think that, I think it goes back to last year, really, when the Mets were getting their clocks clean in Los Angeles, and there were a couple of guys at their clubhouse every day, and that was it. And when you're not playing well and you have to answer those questions every day, and there's going to be a pickoff here by Pettitte, guys.
That's certainly a common sight as Dalu is picked off to end the inning. And we'll pick up more on the clubhouse conversation when we come back. So Pettitte does what Pettitte does so well. After striking out 5, hello, Moises Alou. We go to the bottom of the second, 2-0 Yankees. Moises Alou merely the latest victim of the Andy Pettitte pickoff machine.
Well, people always think you just take a small lead and to take a secondary lead, but you can't do that. You can't take your eyes off Andy Pettitte any time.
Well,
and that's what happened to Moises.
Well, that's just falling asleep. He's got to know that he's got a left-hander out there with a good move.
Ronnie, did he deke Giambi? Because Giambi looked like he was coming off the bat.
Listen, I think they got to have a sign for Andy to go over to Jason. Hey, Jason, I'm coming over this time.
Robinson Cano leads off in the home second inning. Cano has just started to get his bat going after a dreadful early season slump. Let's go back to Kevin Burkhardt. You were talking about last year in L.A., Kevin.
Yeah, guys, I thought that last year, that series where they got crushed as a ground ball that Castillo will handle here. It was the same couple guys at the lockers. It's soon after Paul LaDuca had that explosion, and things did change in the clubhouse after that, whether people want to admit it or not. And, Beltran was lumped into this talk. I got to tell you, Beltran has been available every single time I ever wanted to talk to him, whether it's before a game, after a game. I think it started there, and I think what happened is you were talking about the good quotes. There are games where, you know, David Wright has nothing to do with the game whatsoever, and everybody's available, but people go right over to David Wright first and foremost because they get in a mode, you know. And I'm in the same boat. You talk to him every day. He's kind of the team leader. Billy Wagner's the same way. On days he doesn't pitch, he says things that are emotional. And when you have the Mets in a rut the way they are, as you said, you talk about some of the other guys that maybe don't give you that juicy soundbite. Well, Billy's going to say, we stink. And you know what? That's good on TV. That sells newspapers. So, you know, Delgado brought that up yesterday that, you know, sometimes we are by our lockers and you do go to other guys. And I think there is some validity to that. So I think there's a lot of different angles to the story. I think the other thing is that, and I'm not sure where this starts, you know, guys, but other than the normal pre and post game stuff, there are specialty things that everyone has to do here. I'm talking, you know, TV interviews outside of the norm, radio interviews, appearances. And a lot of times it's the same guys that do that, basically because, you know, a couple of guys volunteer and then they continually get asked. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. And I think that combined with the fact that the Mets simply aren't playing well, you know, Wagner said what he said.
Cabrera draws a walk, and you know what happened with Wagner also tends to shed more light on a developing situation with Johan Santana, where
Yes.
here, you know, he signs for $137 million, and all of a sudden it seems as though he's less than accessible for you guys.
I think that's a big part, you know, and the thing is not sure, you know, whose fault it is or anything like that. But Santana, guys, this was in the papers a little bit the other day. He's just not around. I mean, no one on the beat knows a lot personally about Johan Santana. And you look, I don't think people think that he has to be Tom Glavine, who is the most personable guy you'll ever run into. But I think that, you know, in the dynamic of a baseball clubhouse, when the clubhouse is open 3.5 hours prior to a game, at some point you see a player walk in. Many days you don't say anything. Sometimes you just see how the family is, and sometimes you talk baseball. And for reasons unknown, Santana hasn't been around to do either of those. So I think that goes into that culture where, you know, you kind of train a guy that this is a situation, but that's not the situation for some of the other players. I think that fed into it as well, Gary. I think it's a great point.
Well, I tell you what, I think the Mets, and Jay Horowitz, I love Jay. Jay loves his players. I think that Jay and the Mets have always been overly protective of their players. You are making a lot of money. It doesn't matter if you're making $20,000 a year. It's part of the job that you have to answer to the press and be amenable to the press. You cannot shirk that responsibility, and you certainly can't do it when the sun's shining and then take a hike when it's a cloudy day.
Of course, Jay Horowitz has been the Mets media relations director for the last 28 years. Alberto Gonzalez, the batter, filling in for the injured Alex Rodriguez, and Santana really struggling with his changeup early in this game.
You know, and there's something else that has changed, guys, and this started late in my career. There's a whole different environment in the clubhouse that is different than when I played post-game. When we had a post-game spread, Charlie used to serve it almost in a closet, it seemed like, in a really tiny room.
There goes the runner, Cabrera, grounded down to right. His only play will be to first, and he gets Gonzalez for the second out. So on the hit and run play, Gonzalez grounds out at Cabrera to second.
No, but to continue, this food after the game was not a big deal. You might get a cheeseburger or something like that. And then secondly, nobody worked out after a game.
Right.
And guys now, after they go post-game, they have a big, huge food room to go and eat in. A lot of the guys go and work out. I'm talking about 45 minutes to an hour to beat writers who have a deadline. And all of that is, I don't know, it can't be great for your relationship with the people that are covering you every single day.
When we first joined the club, Ronnie, and you and I joined the team at the same time, that room where the eats room is now, before Keith Sedro, who was our strength coach, that room was not used. It was Charlie's storage area.
That's right.
And all we had was that little tiny it was like a cubicle where the TV was, and it was a settee and a table with 6 chairs. And you had to fight for those chairs once in a while.
It was like musical chairs.
Chad Moeller, the batter, hitting 9th in the order. Jorge Posada down with a bad shoulder, out for at least another few weeks. And Moeller swings and misses. The former Diamondback sharing catching duties with Jose Molina right now for the Yankees. Well, you know, it's all well and good to say let's protect our players, but unfortunately what happens then is the burden falls, as came out this week, on a couple of guys, and then resentments build. And I think being open and being accessible ends up being best for everybody, including the organization as a whole. Taken inside by Moeller, 1-2.
Listen, no, like Keith explained it, no one wants to talk on an 0 for 4, but if you want to talk on a 4 for 4 day, you got to talk on an 0 for 4 day. That's just how it goes.
It's just part of the deal, and you've got more press here than anywhere else in New York.
And you're going to go through times where you stink. And when you stink, it's nice to have a couple of friends.
Yep. That's an excellent point.
I played in St. Louis. You had 2 papers, 2 beat writers, and you had to deal with them, and then you dealt with the visiting team. And they might at Cincinnati, they had 1 paper or 2 papers.
1-2 to Moeller. Struck him out with a changeup. And that's the second strikeout for Santana, and the Yankees are done in the bottom of the second. We go to the third at Yankee Stadium. 2-0 Yankees.
We'd like to help as many people as we can. It is nice to return a favor to somebody else.
For more information, visit extrabases.org.
Here's your Toyota text poll of the game. Our question today: did you find Billy Wagner's comments inappropriate? That would be the first set of comments, I would assume, not the second. Text your response to 57508 or visit SNY.TV to express your opinion. Brian Schneider takes a strike from Andy Pettitte as we start the third inning. Schneider was at the plate when Moises Alou was picked off to end the second. Schneider went around, and it's 0-2. And I give big kudos to Brian Schneider because, you know, we've now been doing these Mets-Yankees games. This is the 12th season. Started in 1997. And most guys who are new to this rivalry will tap right in front of the plate. Moeller a long way to get it, but he's got the slow-footed Schneider running, and he throws him out. Pettitte made no move for that ball.
Really?
And that's the first out. Most guys, when asked in previewing the series, will say something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, I was in the Dodgers Angels series, or I was in the Giants A's series, and I know what that's like." And then they come here and they're wide-eyed after the first game about what the crowd reaction is like. Schneider said, "I know this is different from any other rivalry in baseball, and that it will be something that I'm looking forward to because I know that it's something that I could have never experienced before." And it's rare to have a guy come in here and understand that beforehand. 1-1 to Castillo.
And you look at this ballpark right here, and it is jammed. Full house.
Yeah. As it has been for every game these two teams have played, as it was that June day in 1997 when Andy Pettitte threw the first pitch in this rivalry. Pettitte started that first ever Mets-Yankees regular season game in June of '97 against Dave Malicki, who was to be the hero that day, pitching a complete game shutout.
Dave Malicki with that funky curveball he had.
There's a strike, 2-2 to Castillo.
Joe Girardi wanted to remind me today, in that game he went 3 for 4. So
yes, he did. Malicki gave up 9 hits, but you know, sign of the times, he went the distance.
There's Joe.
That's 9 innings. Toward the middle, and Jeter has played perfectly. Throws out Castillo, 2 away. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, there are the numbers since this thing began. In the first 11 seasons, the Yankees with the upper hand in virtually every category.
Scoring more than a run per game, more than the Mets.
Mets made their mark in 2004 when they swept a series from the Yankees for the first time.
Did you see Pettitte's reaction on that curveball, Ronnie? Threw up his hands.
Yeah.
It's his third curveball he's throwing. He hasn't really found it yet. He was mad at himself. Wasn't even close.
Struck out Reyes with fastballs his first time up. Foul back. Yeah, it's 1-1. Pettitte's got some good life on that fastball today.
well, you see that infield defense. If you keep an eye, see Jeter inching in. He plays almost at double play depth for Reyes to try to close it up a little for the speedy Reyes.
Off the plate with a fastball. 2-1.
Well, you look at the stadium too in left center field where the monuments are, and you just go, my goodness, that used to be the home run. It used to be. Joe DiMaggio had so much ground to cover.
457 feet worth.
Jeez. That is just, that's a lot of triples.
I mean, it's $3.99 now, which is deep by the standard of any other major league ballpark in left center, but it is a mere poke now. Reyes fouls it back 3-2. And they say that the dimensions in the new Yankee Stadium, which is going up just outside the ballpark out beyond left field, you can't see it from inside the stadium, but they say the dimensions are going to be the same.
Dimensions are going to be the same, but the building is going to be 60% bigger. It's hard to imagine.
$1.3 billion.
That's hard to imagine.
Yes, it is. 3-2 to Reyes. Hit in the air down the left field line, foul.
And this is a stadium here with not a lot of foul territory behind home plate, but not hardly any foul territory down the left and right field lines.
And I wonder whether they're going to shorten up that home plate distance in the new ballpark. I would think they will. Reyes pops it up, shallow center. In comes Melky Cabrera. Side retired. So Pettitte dominant early in this game. He gets the Mets 1-2-3 to the bottom of the third. 2-0 Yankees.
Geico Sports Night on SNY. Your source for all things New York sports. Live reports, game analysis, highlights, and debate. Plus insider information from a crew that's on top of their game. Geico Sports Night. Every night at 10 and 1 a.m. only on SNY.
SNY and the New York Mets present Palmer's Cocoa Butter Formula. Soft hands, smooth plays, featuring David Wright.
The Gold Glove obviously is unexpected, but it's extremely special to me. You know, the hard work that I put in culminated in a Gold Glove, but now that the microscope's on, everybody knows that you won the Gold Glove last year. They're expecting you to go out and play even better defense. So you know, I need to work hard, continue to improve.
For more defensive tips and for information on Palmer's products, visit sny.tv/Palmer's.
Ryan Church leads off the fourth inning and takes the curveball for ball one. Church struck out his first time up, but has now contributed, as he seems to on a daily basis, with his defense. His fifth outfield assist of the season.
And you know, not to belabor a point, we'll lead you right into the relay throw again, and not to belabor a point, if Abreu goes to third on that throw, he scores on that line drive diving catch by Church, and it's a and it gets a third run home. Those are the little things that win or lose your ball games that kind of get lost in the course of a game if they happen early.
Sometimes I'll watch runners, and it's almost like they get into being a fan, watching the play at the plate to see if he's going to be safe.
Church check swing tapper, shallow center, base hit.
Oh, when you're hot, you're hot.
Living right.
Now,
so the Mets get the leadoff man on for the second time.
Now on the relay throw here, second base is unoccupied because Castillo, watch, see the shortstop Reyes, he's the trailer. He has to tell Castillo where to throw the ball because his back's to the plate. So no one is on second base. The third baseman has to cover third in case of advance, so you can take a real aggressive turn on second base and then go with the throw home. And if he bluffs, he's not going to throw you out. You stop and get back to second base because no one's there.
David Wright had an infield hit his first time up and stole a base and takes it wide from Pettitte. Well, the Mets now have 3 hits off Pettitte. Church not really a base stealing threat. Pettitte's already picked one off today. Wright shoots one foul, 1-1. Pettitte and Moeller taking a long time getting together.
Well, that's one of the problems for the Yankees with Posada out. 2 catchers, Moeller and Molina, don't know the pitching staff as well.
On the inside corner with the fastball, 1-2.
I watched Jorge Posada. There's Jorge right there. Throw before the game today was thrown from about 90 feet with good pop on it, so he's making his way back.
That shoulder had been bothering him for a long time before he went out. Wright breaks his bat, dumps it into shallow left center, base hit. Church takes the turn and holds as Cabrera throws behind him. So a couple of soft hits, a check swing by Church, a broken bat by Wright, and the Mets have the table set here in the fourth.
Well, he came back inside when he wants the ball, got it in the strike zone, and you saw Moeller, the catcher, wanting it out of the strike zone. And now look at, if Abreu had run like this, hard around the base, he'd be on third base.
You know, it's interesting. Chad Moeller has Pettitte throwing the same way to the same hitters. That ball up in the strike zone. The problem is it's the fourth inning, and Pettitte, who's not a hard thrower by nature, that speed gun coming a little bit back to him.
Andy Pettitte over his last 4 starts, 0-3 with a 6.75 ERA. Only pitched 4 innings and gave up 5 runs against Tampa Bay his last time out. Now he faces Beltran with the tying runs on base. 2-0 Yankees, 4th inning. Beltran grounds it to the hole, base hit. Church turns third. He'll be waved home against Damon's weak arm and score easily. The Mets are on the board. It's 2-1. So Beltran attacks the first pitch. 3 straight hits for the Mets. Beltran drives in his 24th run of the year.
Well, jumping on the first pitch too. Carlos likes to take a lot of pitches. Men on base, you get that fastball, he'd be all over it to drive a run in, and he does.
And again, that is the problem Pettitte has had in these starts. That sinker usually is down in the strike zone, and that's where he wants it to be. Church, of course, who got a good secondary lead, scores easily.
Dave Island, the new Yankee pitching coach this year, out for a word with Pettitte.
Interesting with Island, right? Was the man for the job because it was going to be so important to work with those young pitchers, Hughes and Kennedy, and it's not worked out as well as they would like it to.
Of course, Hughes is out with a broken rib, and Kennedy has struggled. He was called back from the minor leagues to make a start on Thursday and did not pitch well, and may be back in the minor leagues before long. So here's Alou with the tying run at second and the go-ahead run at first. Nobody out. Moe single to left his first time, and he takes the cutter low and inside, 1-0. Well, the Yankees decided not to make the trade for Santana because they felt they didn't want to give up their young pitchers and instead entrusted their rotation to the young pitchers, and so far it's been much like Generation K. Things have not really worked out. And you know, the Mets have had experience with that in the mid-90s when they had Pulsipher and Isringhausen and Wilson, and they decided to build around pitchers who did not have a track record, and it's a tough thing to do.
500 innings. That's my goal. Key. 500 innings you want to see from a young pitcher before you know if he's a major league pitcher.
1-0 to Alou. And it's taken low 2-0. The one given that the Yankees have had this year has been Chen-Ming Wang. The Mets will face him tomorrow night.
He's almost automatic right now, especially in this ballpark. A good hard sinker. He's getting more strikeouts this year because he's using his slider more, especially against right-handed hitters.
And then the big surprise has been the resurgence of Mike Messina, who looked last year as though he might be done. 2-0 to Alou, swing and a miss. 2-1. Oliver Perez takes the mound tomorrow night against Chen-Ming Wang, our city probable pitchers tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on ESPN.
And Wang, with that rare bird now, goes deep into games. Not unusual for him to go 8 innings plus.
2-1 to Alou. And Pettitte misses low with the changeup, and it's 3-1.
See if Willie puts him in motion here. Alou handles the bat well. Good eye at the plate.
Does not draw a lot of walks. I think he's drawn 1 so far this year.
Pettitte pitching him very carefully, though. He must have come into this game leery of the bat of Alou.
This is a tough lineup to crack for a left-hand pitcher.
Well, the Mets for the season have a team batting average of .283 against lefties, almost 40 points higher than their average against righties. Whereas Wright has been right at the top of that. David is 2 for 2 today. Mets down by a run, 2 on and nobody out. A long set by Pettitte leads Alou to ask for time.
You know, Mulder and Pettitte are having such a hard time. If I were involved in this and out there, I would pull him out there and say, listen, I'm going to start calling the pitches. And this is what I'm going to do. And that way you know what to call so we don't have to go through this long situation in between pitches.
On 3-1, Alou swings and fouls it off. Came with a 3-1 off-speed pitch, and it's a full count to Moises.
Well, he threw him a 2-0 slider, and Moises swung and missed, and then 3-1 slider came right back with it.
Well, 2 pitches soft, 3 pitches soft in a row. Be interested to see if the Willie Randolph has the Mets running. Might see a fastball trying to surprise Alou here from Pettitte.
You've got speed on the bases. Wright and Beltran, and Pettitte trying to get a read, steps off. I think you got to send him here.
Yes, I would. Take your chances. Stay out of double play.
Girardi pushed with 2 hit and runs. Push back.
With all the line drives from Moises Alou hits, you might get a triple play out. Not going. And it's ball 4. Threw him a breaking ball on 3-2, and now the Mets have the bases loaded and nobody out. First walk given up by Pettitte. So 3 straight hits and a walk, and the Mets are poised to try and tie or take the lead. Pettitte got off to a decent start this year. He was 3-1, but look at the last 4 starts. He has just been hammered, and the home run ball has been significant in that. And a guy who has more home runs against him than anybody else has hit off him in his career comes to the plate. That would be Carlos Delgado, who has 5 home runs against Pettitte.
All Pettitte's home runs this year have been given up to right-hand hitters.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Delgado takes inside and almost hit him. That would have forced in a run. Of course, everybody likes to work Carlos inside these days.
Well, coming into the season, Pettitte's almost automatic here. 89-34, great record, but has not won at Yankee Stadium this season.
Cued foul down to Sandy Alomar. 1-1. Well, Pettitte left to go to Houston before coming back, and even with that, 6th on the all-time Yankee win list.
Red roughing.
You saw him pitch?
No.
Lifted foul, and now Pettitte ahead 1-2 on Delgado.
I was going to ask you what your career numbers were against him, Keith.
Thanks, guys.
I'm sure it was over 300. The Yankee portion of the crowd gets the 2-strike cheer going for Pettitte. One-two. Popped it up. Infield fly rule will be called. Batter is out, and Jeter grabs it. Delgado's retired 1 away.
Wow.
It's a pretty good pitch to hit here.
Got it away, but it was up. Belt high. It was more like a flat breaking ball run.
Yeah.
Surprised that Jeter threw the ball home instead of running it in.
Yeah.
Geez, he kind of threw a little bowling ball in there. Anything can happen.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
could
you
hit
got to
anything.
catch a fly ball. All you kids out there like that, you catch it and run the ball in.
So now 1 away, and here's Easley, who took a call 3rd strike his first time.
There's no need to throw the ball here. I don't understand why he threw it home. It's just not necessary. It takes an unnecessary risk.
High fastball to Easley, 1-0. Of course, on the infield fly rule, you don't even have to catch the ball. Batter is automatically out as soon as it's called. 1st and 2nd, or bases loaded, less than 2 out.
But the runners can advance at their own peril.
If the ball drops, or if you tag after the catch. Taken inside and low, 2-0. So now Pettitte with a big pitch to make behind 2-0 on Easley with the bases full.
And he's got to be careful here. We watched earlier when he struck out the first 5 outs were strikeouts. throwing that high fastball. Easily is a high ball hitter.
Damien with 1 home run this year. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Easley takes it wide, ball 3. So now Pettitte is 1 pitch away from walking in the tying run. Heavy reading there. That's a big book.
Pettitte really not getting anything off that outside corner by home plate umpire Mike Riley.
3-0 to Easley. And there's a strike, 3-1.
Well, here's a good pitch to hit. If he throws a curveball and makes a nasty pitch, you got to tip your hat.
Yeah.
You just got to be sitting as a hitter, dead red.
Damien's looking for something up in the zone. So is Willie for Damien.
Well, he's looking for somebody to get a big hit.
Yes. Pettitte wants to counter with something down. Wants to see if he can get a ground ball from Easley.
3-1. Fouled it back. Got a pitch to hit. It's 3-2.
We've talked about it how many times, Ronnie. Pitchers can get hurt more on their breaking stuff than their fastball. Here's a high fastball, and guess what? He fouled it. Great cut, but you know what? He just missed it.
So Pettitte's worked his way back from 3-0 to 3-2 on a veteran hitter. Easley's had 57 career at-bats against Pettitte. Of course, he played for a long time with the Angels and the Tigers. (3-2) on the inside corner, strike 3 call. Easley is called out on strikes for the 2nd time and lingers to discuss it with Mike Riley. 2 out.
Well, outside fastballs, Ronnie to come back from 3-0, and then inside heat.
First time struck him out on a backdoor curveball. This time fastball in.
Oh boy, that'd be a little bit hot too.
He had some argument.
That would be a little hot.
And Easley continues to jaw at Riley from afar.
Interesting, Ronnie, how you said Riley was not giving Pettitte the outside corner. We sure gave him the inside corner.
And Riley just turned and told Easley to stop. So Pettitte has matched his season high with 6 strikeouts. He gave up a run, had bases loaded and nobody out. Now he's 1 out away from getting out of it. Brian Schneider thrown out by the catcher Moeller his first time. And he lays off the breaking ball, 1-0.
Well, bases loaded, missed with a breaking ball. Nice pitch to hit. You could be selective as a hitter.
In tight, and now he's behind again, 2-0. Schneider is a guy who does not look to hit to left field a whole lot.
Well, this is a good time to do it. That hole between third baseman Gonzalez and Jeter. Down the line. Gonzalez way off that third base line.
2-0 to Bryan. Swing and a miss. He's looking to pull that fastball. 2-1.
That ball had some cut on it.
Fastball looked like it. It ran.
And it cut away.
It ran away. It sure did.
Pettitte's always had that cutter in his repertoire.
I had that in high school. I had that good runner like that. Wow. When I pitched.
You should have made a lot more money. Left-hand pitcher like you with a good cutter. 2-1 to Schneider. And he goes fishing. And now Pettitte 1 strike away from getting out of this monumental jam. Pettitte wants to talk about it with Moeller before they throw it.
You know, I never liked that, to tell you the truth. You get to a point, you're 1-2, you're excited to make that next pitch. You want to tell this batter to go sit down, but Moeller felt it necessary to come out and kind of break up that spirit.
2-2. Side 3-2.
Pettitte's just having a hard time getting that inside fastball for a strike to left-hand hitters. He's just missing.
So now the merry-go-round will be in motion. Wright at third, Beltran at second, now Lou at first. They'll all be running 3-2 and 2 down. Pulled over the bag, just foul.
Whoa.
Schneider just missed. That would have scored at least 2 and maybe 3.
Well, you know, you tell me if I'm wrong, Ronnie. Curveball on a 3-2 count, 2 outs, bases loaded. They throw the curveball. That's a pitch they're more inclined to leave that curveball over the plate because they don't want to walk the hitter.
Exactly. So your problem is that before you start your throwing, you say, if I'm going to throw that in the dirt, and then you think, oh, it's 3-2. I better throw it for a strike. That's when you get the one that stays in the strike zone.
This will be Pettitte's 31st pitch of the inning. Runners go. Ball 4 and the game is tied. After all the heavy lifting, Pettitte loses Schneider to a 2-out walk to force in Wright, and the game is tied at 2.
Well, a great at bat for Schneider, who was behind in the count, and he battled the walk there, and nicely done.
It was a nice at bat, and I said it in the half inning. Where would the Mets be without the 2 ex-nationals, Church and Schneider?
Now Castillo and Beltran trying to force a balk. Sandy Alomar saying he broke his hands before he stepped off, but the third base umpire, Andy Fletcher, not buying it. Sandy was trying to buy one. Now Castillo swings and fouls it back. That was a Steve Beazer move by David Wright, by Carlos Beltran at third base.
Well, I'll tell you, Sandy Alomar has an issue here as you see David Wright take off. Sorry, that's the play before.
0-1 to Castillo. In the dirt. Good stop by Moeller. That saved a run.
Almost like he caught that with his shoulder, didn't he?
I mentioned Steve Beazer. If you look at that last pitch blocked by Moeller. 97, the first series between the Mets and Yankees in the rubber game. Steve Beazer was a pinch runner and induced a balk from David Cohen to get a run home in a game that would eventually be won by the Yankees in extra innings. There's a strike on the outside corner to Castillo, 1-2. Castillo grounded to short his first time up. He's the 8th man up in this inning. The Mets have scored twice to tie it. Pettitte ahead, 1-2. Again, Beltran faking down the line, drawing a glance from Pettitte. Fouled away.
You know, as a starting pitcher, Beltran, good baseball, trying to induce Pettitte to think about him and not the hitter. But as a starting pitcher, you put that in your memory bank the next time he comes up to the plate.
This will be the 36th pitch of the inning. And Castillo swings at the curveball and dribbles it. If it stays fair, it's a run, and it is! The Mets take the lead as it drops dead in the grass. 3-2 Mets.
Well, sometimes this game's not fair. Pettitte makes a beautiful pitch, down and in slider. And you couldn't have bunted it better. And this inning started with 2 bloops. Church and Wright started it off with 2 singles. So it's a game of inches, that's for sure.
Now Reyes, the 9th man up in the inning. The Mets have taken a 3-2 lead. Bases loaded, 2 down, and Reyes takes one in the dirt, and again Moeller stops it, 1-0. Now Pettitte is throwing close to 40 pitches in this inning, and still going.
How about that reaction from the Mets bench? That's nice to see. Fired up.
Reyes swings and misses.
Jose has just really been fishing too much lately. Swinging at bad pitches. It's really going through a real bad period for him in that regard.
1-1 to Jose.
lays off, and that one's in for a strike. With a change-up, 1-2.
You know, Keith, that being said, really struggling right now, but can in a bat like this against a pitcher like Pettitte in a big situation somehow get a base hit out there, he can get you going.
Well, this a double here in the gap can break this game open. Be a huge hit.
Pettitte head on Reyes, 1-2. Couldn't get him to chase that one. It's 2-2. 40-pitch inning for Andy Pettitte after he fairly sailed through the first 3.
Bases loaded, 2 out. 2-2 to Reyes. Curveball popped up. And Jeter is right there waiting for it. That ends the inning, but the Mets send 9 men to the plate, and they scratch out 3 runs. Castillo's dribbler gives Santana a 3-2 lead.
To text their responses, see, kind of like polling the audience on Millionaire.
Can we make fun of him? It's a lame answer.
There's a strike to Bobby Abreu. Oh, of course.
Okay, well then, bring it on.
Do you think you needed permission?
Abreu doubled to right center. That was the play. Damon got thrown out at the plate in the 3rd inning. At the time, the Yankees had a 2-0 lead. Abreu lifts one along the left field line, and now Lou gets over. It's a tough sun field over there. And now Lou makes the catch for the first out. For more on Johan Santana, let's check in with Kevin.
You know, guys, Santana today pitching against a league and a team he's very familiar with, but all throughout the year it's been an adjustment each game, getting used to the different stadiums, the different hitters, and interleague he's done very, very well, 16-4. And I was talking to Scott Schoenweiss about the change in leagues and how it affects you as a pitcher, and he said, well, a couple of things. First of all, you know, with interleague, with free agency, with things like that, when you come over, at least when I came over to the Reds, I was really familiar with a lot of the guys, so that helps. It's a little different than older times. He said, but there are differences. For instance, in the American League, first and second, nobody out. Believe me, nobody's bunting. They're all going for a home run. And when you come to the National League, you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware of situations, hit and run, things like that, which you really don't in the American League. He said the other thing that he found, and he's a reliever a little bit different, but getting up and down constantly. He said in the American League, not so much here, though, especially with the pitcher batting. There's always changes going on. So he said he doesn't think it's as hard as a transition as it was maybe 10 years ago. And Schoenweiss, of course, is a little bit different, a little unique. I asked him, is there anything else? He said, well, there's one thing. I'm a pregame napper, guys. I had to scout out the hidden places in the visiting clubhouses so I could take a nap.
Yeah, Schoenweiss is a little different. He's a lefty.
We like the eccentric ones.
Jeter swings at the fastball away, and Santana really getting in a groove now. He's retired 9 in a row since that play at the plate in the 3rd inning. And he is looking so much sharper than he was early on.
Well, that graphic right there kind of says it all, doesn't it? Full speed ahead.
And this is against a Yankee team famous for taking pitchers deep into counts.
Fastball line to the gap in left center. A base hit for Jeter. Beltran gets over and cuts it off. Jeter's going to try for 2. The throw, it's going to be close. And he is safe. Out. He came off the bag. The ball was bobbled, but Jeter never got to the bag. And so the second base umpire, Alfonso Marquez, made 2 calls. First he said safe, and then he said out, and Jeter knew it.
Now, is that ruled a double because of the bobble,
If
Gary?
he never got to the bag, it's not a double.
Right.
Let's check it out.
Well, nice play by Beltran. Perfect throw. Well, in between hop, but got it right there.
Well, Jeter never got to second base, so clearly it's got to be an out once Castillo controls the ball. So Jeter trying to make something happen, challenging Beltran, who was up to the test. 2 out and nobody on. Now Matsui fouls it off.
Boy, some nice breaks for Santana today in the Mets. He's giving up base hits where they look like they'd be runs, and here looked like it's going to be a double, but a nice play by the short hop catch by Luis Castillo. And I thought the key was Beltran, not that the way he got rid of it so quickly. I think that was the key to that play.
Well, he's a Gold Glover, and that's why he can do it.
Slider in for a strike, and it's 0-2 to Matsui.
That's the best slider he's thrown the whole game right there. And we're going to take a look again. Never got there. Might have been more.
It's a funny call by Marquez because he knew that Jeter hadn't gotten to the bat, but I guess he was saying he's not out yet, and then he changed his mind.
Well, he was saying that Castillo was juggling the ball a little bit, but I mean, he could have just waited.
Yes,
there. He didn't need to make a call.
Right.
Did not. Right.
Right. You don't say safe until the guy's on the base. It's like a play at the plate. When a guy misses the plate, you don't make any call at all.
That's right. Exactly right.
Sui swings and misses and a pitch in the dirt. That'll do it for the Yankees in the bottom of the 6th. Only the 3rd strikeout of the game for Santana, but he's sharp. His defense has been good as well. We go to the 7th. The Mets with a 3-2 lead. Getting together on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and Andy Pettitte got 5 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3. Meanwhile, Johan Santana yielded the long ball to Derek Jeter, but then the Mets started fighting back. 3 straight hits, produced 3 runs, including that dribbler by Luis Castillo to bring home the lead run. And the Mets have been solid from there. Great defense, great pitching by Santana. And we go to the 7th, the Mets with a 3-2 lead. Monument Park out in left center field. They're going to take the whole thing and move it intact into the new ballpark next year. The new Yankee Stadium. It's going to be quite a year for new stadiums next season, with Yankee Stadium being turned over. The only 2 real old ballparks in the majors will be Wrigley Field and Fenway Park.
Well, Kyle Farnsworth in here for the Yankees has made 60 or more appearances, very durable in the last 5 seasons. Began the year struggling like he did at the end of last year, but has allowed only 2 earned runs over his last 12 2/3 as he's turned his season around.
Jose Reyes will lead off against Kyle Farnsworth. Reyes has struggled at the plate today, going 0 for 3. Attacks the first pitch and fouls it off.
You know, it's pretty interesting. A lot of the old ballparks that I played in that are no longer there, I don't miss them very much because they're all the same. You know, Veterans Stadium, the ballpark in Atlanta.
There's one.
What?
Old Jack Murphy.
Oh, yeah, Jack Murphy.
Jack Murphy was beautiful, wasn't it? I loved to play there.
Of course you did. The infield was like AstroTurf.
Well, you guys played there.
The ball flew.
You guys played there before they enclosed it for football.
Had a beautiful setting, the mountains in the back.
Much nicer there.
And the climate was wonderful. What was great about that park was that they had the mercury vapor lights, and we'd play 7 o'clock starts, and because of the half hour earlier, the sun obviously was still up a little higher than normal. But around the 2nd inning, or late in the 1st inning, the swallows would come in because the moss would come up off the field. That ball's really pulled foul. The moss would come up out of the grass, and the sparrows would come in and swoop down. I mean, like dive bombing on the field, and sometimes they would go right in front of the pitchers, man. I have to step out. But it was a beautiful thing to watch.
The Capistrano swallows.
That's right, Ronnie. Very good.
You bring out the Audubon Society side of yourself.
It was a beautiful thing to watch. There you go. You're up in the upper tank. We saw a lot of those. Those aren't swallows.
No, they don't return to the Bronx. 2-2 to Reyes. Pulled foul. Another one into the upper deck.
You know what else was good about that stadium is that they used to really be proactive in taking care of the military personnel in that part of the country, and they would all come to all the games. They would march in and march out, and that was fun to watch.
And they're still there at the new ballpark at Petco, downtown San Diego.
And that's the base of the Pacific Fleet.
Breaking ball hit in the air deep down the right field line, back toward the corner, and it's out of here! Jose Reyes into the short porch in right field, his 3rd home run of the year. And the Mets now have a 4-2 lead. Well, you don't get those kinds of cheap home runs at Shea. Reyes loved that. And the Mets now with a 2-run lead.
Oh, the old hanging slider was down over the middle.
Ryan Church takes up and away.
You saw the catcher imploring him to throw that in the dirt. And that in Shea is usually a triple. Home run here.
Church has to move his feet, and it's 2-0.
Well, maybe we'll see a smile on Jose's face. Haven't seen it for a while. He's been in this slump.
There it is.
Well, he certainly celebrated coming around first base when he saw that ball go out. 2-1 to Church. Well, Farnsworth, who otherwise has pitched very well for the Yankees, has now given up 5 home runs in only 19 innings.
For a guy who throws 95 with a razor blade slider, it's almost hard to conceive, to tell you the truth, with the arm that Farnsworth has.
And it really has always been that way. Back to his start with the Cubs.
There it is.
You see Reyes was running hard out of the box because you're right. He was thinking triple off the bat, not home run. Church draws a walk. And so Farnsworth has yet to retire a batter. Church aboard for David Wright. Yankees bullpen has kicked it into gear lately. Mariano Rivera has been at the top of his game all season. Stunningly, though, and this really comes into play when you're facing the Mets and all their left-hand hitters, the Yankees do not have a lefty in their bullpen.
You know, we've seen a couple teams do that against the Mets now. To me, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't at some point, not that you wouldn't have a lefty, but that at some point facing the Mets, you might make a move, a roster move to bring someone in, even if it's for the weekend.
How can you go into the season without a lefty in your bullpen?
Well, they had one earlier this year, and that didn't pan out. David Wright takes ball 1.
And that was a strange pick because it was Billy Traber, who's kind of a, you know, he was with the Mets, a #1 draft pick, hurt his arm, but he's kind of a soft tosser, and you don't really want a soft tosser when a guy coming in to get left-handed hitters out.
Well, you got to have a guy with a good slider in that spot, you know, a J.C. Romero, somebody like that.
And just enough fastball to be able to spot it on those left-handed hitters.
David Wright 2 for 3 today, an infield hit and then a broken bat hit. He'll take them both. Now facing the right-hander for the first time, but Farnsworth falls behind him 2-0. Well, the Cubs always had a notion that Farnsworth could be a closer, but every time they had a notion to give him that job, he handed it right back. He has really been an enigma his entire career. Foul back, and it's 2-1.
Well, very temperamental.
Yeah.
Volatile personality. Wasn't one of the more liked players in baseball, even amongst his own teammates.
Served a suspension this year for throwing behind or at, or depending on who was you asked, Manny Ramirez of the Red Sox.
Quick move to first, and Church is back.
You know, I think that for Kyle, it's been more of a career of being a thrower and never developed into that kind of be a pitcher.
Well, when you come to the big leagues throwing 99.
Yeah.
There goes Church, and Wright fouls it off. Is that a hit and run call?
I think it was.
Can you ever recall Willie playing hit and run with Wright at the plate before?
No, but that's what happens when David's not on the top of his game. You're always trying to help your players get maybe not a cheap hit, but open up some holes for him and get him a base hit.
I don't think I've ever seen David hit and run.
Well, he's hitting just 202 against righties, so maybe that was designed to help him out there.
And you think about it, 2 seasons ago when he delivered all those base hits to right field, early in his career probably a candidate to be a good hit and run man. Now more of a power guy.
David with 7 home runs this year. 2-2, hit in the air, right field. That's deep. Back to the wall goes Abreu, and it's out of here. David Wright with an opposite field 2-run homer. And it's 6-2 New York. Power guy indeed, his 8th home run of the year.
Eighth home run. Hanging slider up and away. David going that way. Probably a fly ball at Shea. And he's just come in with some gasoline in his back pocket. He's getting lit up.
Reyes and Wright loving life at the old stadium in the Bronx, both taking advantage of the short porch in right field. And boy, that Met dugout exploded when Wright came in after that 2-run homer. Makes it 6-2 New York.
Well, you can see belt high slider. David with 2 strikes goes that way so well. Just surprised Farnsworth just throwing a predominantly breaking stuff.
So home run, walk, home run. That's what's greeted Farnsworth here in the 7th. Now Carlos Beltran, and he takes low and inside. Beltran already with 2 hits today, drove in the first Met run. That's now with 9 hits in the game. And Beltran pops it up. Cano retreating onto the outfield grass, now gives way and now goes after the ball again. I think he was expecting Abreu to come in and bail him out, but Abreu wasn't going to get there, so Cano had to look for it a second time.
That's got to be the right fielder's ball. Abreu kind of lollygagged it in there.
Yeah, he wasn't busting the way to help out his second baseman.
You were talking about before how you play right field in this ballpark. That should be an easy play for the right fielder. As Moises Alou grinding one down to third, and Gonzalez has it. That's the second out. So 2 out and nobody on. Well, a Mets 7-pack is your guaranteed ticket to a sold-out Subway Series matchup at Shea. Get to Mets.com and choose from 6 great Mets 7-packs. So 2 out. Here's Carlos Delgado, who has had a very rough day at the plate. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, and a pop-up. He's left 7 runners on base. He takes a low and inside from Farnsworth. Unhittable slider, 1-1.
Well, it's unhittable because it's around a foot inside.
Delgado struggled last year. He could not lay off that pitch. Pops this one up. Shallow center for Jeter, shading his eyes, and he can't find it. And Delgado has a pop fly single. Jeter looked, saw sun, couldn't find the ball with the sunglasses perched right on top of his hat.
Well, they look good on top of that hat, but they're not doing much on top of that hat. And I just don't understand that. And that's, well, Jeter's such a professional. Just a Sunday like today, you got to have those flip downs on.
A couple of nonchalant plays by Jeter today. That little toss in on the pop up, and there I think he thought that was an easier play than it was.
So the inning stays alive for Damian Easley, who's 0 for 3 today. And he fouls the first pitch back. Well, Delgado will take it. He needed that hit. After going 2 for 17 in the series against Washington, and a very rough 0 for 3 today. Mets now with 10 hits in the game, leading 6-2 in the 7th. And Easley pops one foul, and again he's behind on the count 0-2. Seems like he's been 0-2 all day.
Look at Farnsworth. He's just throwing 2 95-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he's been monkeying around this whole inning with the slider. Got burned on 2 sliders, home runs. He gets ahead 0-2 to Easley, on who's a fastball hitter, on 95-mile cheddar. Go figure.
He's suggesting he should throw another fastball.
Oh, what the heck? I've always liked pitchers that throw the heat, that aren't afraid to throw it, and that sets up everything else. Like a pitcher has to establish, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ronnie, a great majority of pitchers have to establish their fastball, and it sets everything else up.
Everyone does. It doesn't matter if you're Jamie Moyer or you're Kyle Farnsworth. You have to throw the fastball, and you got to pitch in.
1-2. Slider misses high, and it's 2-2.
He's such a tall guy. The key for him is that whenever he's throwing his slider, he's got to stand tall and stay tall. What he's doing, he's kind of dropping and driving, and that elbow is getting underneath the ball. And once you get that elbow underneath, all it becomes is a little spinner across, and that's when you get hurt.
Easily hanging in there. Well, we've already seen Andy Pettitte throw a 41 pitch inning. Farnsworth's about to throw his 29th pitch here in the 7th. 2-2 to Easley. Breaking ball. He half swung. It was in there anyway. And Easley has struck out for the 3rd time today. But the Mets with a very successful inning against Kyle Farnsworth. Jose Reyes with his 3rd home run of the season. And after a walk to church, David Wright going the other way for his 8th. And the Mets lead at 6-2. Let's answer our Aflac trivia question for today. We asked who are the 4 men to manage the Mets and Yankees. Well, Casey Stengel was the first. Joe Torre.
Oh, Dallas Green. I couldn't come up with that one.
And of course, Yogi, who managed the Mets to a World Series in 1973. The official Mets merchandise catalog offers a wide selection of Mets apparel and collectibles for every fan. Save 5% off your initial order using the source code SAVEMETS. Wear your orange and blue from the last season at Shea.
What's the pitch count, Gary, on Mr. Santana?
It is low, my friend. It is low. 71 pitches in 6 innings.
Well, I'll tell you what, make a statement here. Go 9 and shut the door.
Well, he's facing the right part of the Yankee order today. He's given up 4 hits, all to the top 3 batters in the order. The 4 through 9 hitters in the Yankee order today are 0 for 12. And that's, you know, when you're without A-Rod and without Posada, it's a very different kind of a batting order.
2 Yankees pitch counts together, probably just about twice the amount of Johan Santana.
Well, Santana struggled a little bit early, gave up the 2-run homer to Jeter in the 1st inning, gave up the 2 straight hits in the 3rd, but with Damon thrown out at the plate, the Yankees have done very little since. Giambi hit one that Johan caught in self-defense in the 4th inning. Giambi 0 for 2 on the day, and he pops the first pitch foul.
I will say one thing about Santana. You were talking about the 9 home runs. It's very interesting, his reaction to home runs, because most pitchers, when they give up a home run, they have anxiety or they're angry, or his reaction a lot of times is just, I can't believe he just did that. All right, give me the ball. Let's go. Who's next? I mean, really has a subdued reaction when that happens.
Good change up, and it's 0-2. But it seems like he reacts that way to everything.
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to get perturbed at all out on the mound.
And that's perfect for a starting pitcher. No, don't get too high, too low.
0-2 to Giambi. Hit in the air to right field. That's deep. Back goes Church, back at the wall, and it's out of here. Jason Giambi with his 8th home run of the year. The 2nd home run given up by Santana today. And that trims the Mets lead to 6-3. So Giambi, who's done very little hitting other than home runs this year, hits his 8th.
Ball away, went out and reached, went out and got it. It just looks like every time he goes up there, he's trying to hit a home run.
I just got an email from all the Met fans. They wish that I would just be quiet the rest of the game. So I will.
Here's Robinson Cano, and he takes ball 1. Did you shoot the clown today?
I don't know.
They're going to run you out of town.
I know.
Again, I'm going to take the subway home. I'm not going to drive home with you.
By the way, that would be the 2nd time.
There's a strike to Cano, 1-1. Cano's been up twice and grounded out both times. So now Santana's given up 10 home runs in 58 innings this year. But if he can hold this lead, he will be 5-2 on the season and will have won 4 in a row. So, Ralph Kiner was talking about it the last time Santana pitched, about Robin Roberts and Catfish Hunter and Bert Blyleven and Ferguson Jenkins, pitchers who gave up lots of home runs in their career but were consistent winners.
Bert Blyleven.
They all gave up solo home runs, and they got the lead, a big lead late. they took care of business, so they were more inclined to throw a fastball and get burned like that, much like Santana there.
1-2 to Cano. Change up, pulled foul. Well, if you leave the home runs out of the mix, and I wonder where does he sit since 2004 in home runs allowed? It's got to be pretty high on the list, but first in wins, first in strikeouts, first in ERA. He has just been the dominant pitcher in baseball over the last 4 seasons. And if you do that, you can give up all the home runs you want. 2-2 now to Cano. He gave up 33 last year, I know, which led the American League.
He was very good the years before. 24, 22, 24. Those are good numbers for the types of innings he pitches.
So he's a little ahead of that pace in giving up home runs this year. Cano gets jammed. Will it stay in play? Wright coming over near the dugout, but he can't get to it. Well, Schneider went for it. Wright went for it. But even Johan Santana in the 7th inning was sprinting for that ball.
He can run. He's quick. I mean, he would have beat every one of those guys over there, but realized that it was going to be in the stands, in the dugout.
That's an extra element. You won't see a lot of pitchers doing that. Used to see Mike Hampton do that all the time. Hampton will ever throw another pitch in the major leagues.
Gosh.
2-2 to Cano. On the outside corner, strike 3 call. Got him looking at the fastball. Strikeout number 4 for Santana.
Well, a nice fastball right in the corner. Really a nice job by Schneider getting his body out there and framing it. I think Cano had a reason to gripe. But we've seen already that Mike Riley likes that side of the plate. It doesn't matter if it's a right-hander or left-handed hitter up. He likes calling strikes that kind of hit him in the face mask as he sits inside.
Here's Melky Cabrera, and he lifts one foul. Hey, Alfonso Soriano hit another home run.
Are you kidding?
2nd today.
6 this week. 6.
Or 7.
Oh, 7. That's right. 2. Oh, geez.
2 yesterday, 2 today, 7 this week, and it tied up the game 5-5 with the Pirates in the 7th.
He's a streaky hitter when he's hot.
Grounded out to Reyes. Guns down Cabrera, 2 down. So Santana bounces right back after the Giambi home run and retires the next 2 hitters.
Who's the streakiest hitter you ever played with? I got one.
Mookie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mookie, you couldn't get him out when he could throw it 3 feet in front of home plate and he'd hit it. He'd pull it somewhere.
He would go 0 for 15 and then 9 for 11. I mean, it was unbelievable.
When he was hot, Mookie was a free swinger, and he'd hit pitches 1 inch off the ground over his head.
Alberto Gonzalez takes a strike. Well, Soriano is certainly that kind of free swinger, but he's obviously got a lot more power than Mookie ever did. 0-2 to Gonzalez. I mean, to me, if you're facing Soriano, you bounce breaking balls.
Yeah.
84 pitches for Santana on the afternoon. 0-2. And Gonzalez shoots one foul.
What you love about Santana, just like if you're a golfer and you line up a putt, you don't want your head to move. Look at that head. Just stayed the same plateau the entire time.
Change up, looped, shallow center, and Beltran is there. 1-2-3 inning after the Giambi home run. Cuts the Mets lead to 6-3. Giambi hits his 8th of the year, but Santana with a 3-run lead as we head to the 8th in the Bronx. Tomorrow at 7 on the new series Beer Money, Chris Carlin and Julie Alexandria put your sports knowledge to the test as they hit the town and take some tough sports trivia to the fans. See how well New York really knows their home teams and who can win a little beer money. Premiering in its regular time slot tomorrow at 7 only on SNY. Let's give you the results of the Toyota text poll. We asked, did you find Billy Wagner's comments inappropriate? And what did you say? You said no.
Whoa. Met fans.
Very telling.
They like the truth.
They do.
Met fans.
They can handle the truth.
Yeah, and that's what sometimes folks don't understand. Rather cover up the truth, but generally, as they learned in Watergate, the cover-up is worse than the scandal.
Well, Edouard Ramirez last year appeared in 21 games for the Yankees, had a high ERA, but that was over a couple of bad outings. They like that he struck out 31 in those 21 innings. Has not given up a run while he's been with the Yankees and in AAA so far this year.
Brian Schneider 0 for 2 on a bases-loaded walk that forced in a run. Let's check in with Kevin.
You know, guys, when you talk about the Yankee bullpen, obviously you talk about Mariano Rivera, but Jobber Chamberlain, and after that, it's kind of nondescript. But, you know, the Yankees, of course, plan to move Chamberlain to the rotation, but maybe it won't be this year. Joe Girardi said that it's possible he could stay in the pen the entire year. Meanwhile, Brian Cashman flat out told me today, you know what, we're sick of talking about it. He's in the bullpen now. That's it. We have a plan for him, and we're not going to speculate when the change will be made. Said he's going to go into the rotation at some point. We'll let you know when. And I'm sure it's a delicate thing, guys. I mean, certainly he's great in that 8th inning role, but with the young guys struggling in the starting rotation. And Ronnie, I'd love to know how you make that change during the middle of the season as well.
Schneider pops it up, and Cano is there. That's the first out.
Change from a starter to reliever, very easy. Reliever to starter, almost the most difficult thing to do. And I'll tell you, this is how it'll work, Evan. If the Yankees have an off year and they are not in the pennant race, that'll be an opportunity to move Jabba into the starting gate. If they're in it and vying for first place, he will be in that bullpen all season long. Simple as that. Well, so Brian doesn't want to talk about it, but I'll talk about it.
I mean, the only way to move a guy from the pen to the rotation in the middle of this season, I would think, is to send him to the minors and stretch him out. And if you're in the race, you don't want to do that. You don't want to send him down for 3 weeks to get his arm ready for starting.
And in today's game, where they protect the pitcher's arm so much, you're really risking injury.
The Yankees, in their great years, have always had those guys that can go the 8th and the 9th inning, and they have as good as there is in baseball with Chamberlain and Rivera.
Castillo has the go-ahead hit in this game as he bluffs a bunt. He batted with the bases loaded and 2 out in the 4th. Behind in the count, hit a little dribbler that just stayed on the grass inside the third base line and drove home the go-ahead run in this game. And now it's 3-0 to Castillo.
You know, if we're talking about being a starter for Chamberlain or being a reliever, I think that it takes certain kind of guys that can pitch out in the bullpen. And what I mean by that, you saw last year they were careful with Chamberlain.
All 4 to Castillo, so he's on with a 1-out walk.
Is that you have to have the ability to throw every day if you're going to pitch in the bullpen. And some starters cannot do that. So if you can't do that, you can't pitch in the pen. But I think it's much more difficult to be a quality starting pitcher. I don't think you can compare, let's say, because he's at the top of his 8th inning class. There's no way you can compare Roy Halladay to Jabba Chamberlain and how much they mean to their team. That being said, Halladay can only throw every 5th day. Chamberlain can throw 3 out of 5 days and factor in a game for you in 3 out of those 5 days. Very important in today's game.
Here's Reyes, who hit his 3rd home run of the year into the short porch and right his last time up. 1 for 4 on the day. And he takes the off-speed pitch, 1-0.
Well, a breaking ball from Farnsworth down, wanted it down, and it was not down. It was knee-high and right down the pipe. And that is a nice short porch in right field.
By the way, we were wondering about Santana and where he sits as far as home runs allowed since 2004 with all those great numbers. He's allowed the 9th most home runs in the majors over that time. Jamie Moyer has allowed the most, 137 since 2004. Levon Hernandez and Javier Vasquez are tied for 2nd. There's a strike, and our credit to Bob Waterman from Elias for that. By the way, speaking of Elias, wanted to send out best wishes to Ken Hurt and his wife Kathleen on the birth of their daughter Nola, who was born on Friday morning. Another statistician in the making. Congratulations to the Hurts. Reyes lines a base hit into center field. Talk about low bridging your pitcher. Edouard Ramirez fearing for his life, and Reyes has his 2nd hit. Time for a New York State Smokers Quit Line update with Matt Yelloff.
All right, Gary, he did it again. It's the Pirates and the Cubs and Alfonso Soriano. His second home run in this game, his 10th of the year. He hit 2 yesterday and 7 now in his last 6 games. Are all tied up in the 9th. Pirates and Cubs 5-5.
All right, thanks, Matt. The Mets looking to tack on to a 6-3 lead as they bat in the 8th. Ryan Church has singled and walked today. He's scored 2 runs, 1 for 3. The Mets now with 11 hits, and check swing foul ball from Church. Reyes has to be feeling better about things. We check out our New York Lottery box score. A couple of hits his last 2 times up. David Wright with 3 hits, including his home run today. That's piled up 11 hits in all. Took the lead in the 4th inning, and Santana has done the rest. And Church with a swing and miss at the changeup, 0-2.
Well, very important that Reyes with the 2 hits, 2 bullets, the home run, of course, and then the base hit up the middle, getting him back in the groove. He is so important to this ball club, and I'm stating the obvious, but when we've said it a million times, he gets on base, the Mets win.
There go the runners. Swung and missed. Throw to third, and it's a strike him out, throw him out, double play. Castillo gunned down by Chad Moeller as Church goes down swinging, and the inning is over. Moeller right on the money to Gonzalez, and they get Castillo thrown out for the first time this year. Still 6-3 Mets.
Ball pick. Actually, she had him in reality. 1-2 to Damon.
Struck him out. 5 strikeouts for Johan Santana, and he's retired 5 in a row since the Giambi home run.
This is just straight cheddar right down the middle of the plate. Just beats Damon, kind of trying to short up and throw that ball to left like he did in the first inning, but not to be.
Well, let's talk about this guy right here. He has risen to the occasion.
Didn't start out well for him, and he's really kicked it in gear.
Boy, I'll say he's pitched a fine ball game when the Mets really needed it.
Bobby Abreu 1 for 3, doubled back in the 3rd. And he hits one in the air to center field. Beltran got a late start going back to the track, now at the wall, and it's out of here.
Bobby Abreu clears the center field fence for his 5th home run of the year. Solo homer by Giambi in the 7th. Solo homer by Abreu in the 8th. And now the Met lead is down to 6-4.
Fastball, I believe. Yes, it is. Belt high out over the plate. And boy, this ball just carried. That's a long way right there.
I'll give you both a ride home.
It's just amazing with Abreu because that looked like a pop-up to center field. And you can't teach that. Off the bat, that ball to carry.
Well, the Yankees have hit 3 home runs today off Santana, accounting for all 4 of their runs. Jeter in the 1st inning, a 2-run shot. Giambi in the 7th. Now Abreu here in the 8th. The Yankees only have 6 hits, but 3 have left the yard. That's 11 home runs allowed now by Santana in 60 innings. So here's Jeter, who's 2 for 3 on the day. The only time Jeter was retired, he was robbed by Ryan Church on a sliding catch. Here's his home run in the 1st inning.
That got the Yankees on board there with the lead early, 2-0. And from the next 5 innings, Santana threw up goose eggs.
This is Santana's 100th pitch of the day. Jeter slices one down the right field line. That's a fair ball bouncing into the corner. Church plays the carom. Jeter heads for second, and he makes it sliding with a double. And now the Yankees will get the tying run to the plate here in the 8th. 3rd hit of the day for Derek Jeter.
Well, nice hitting by Jeter, and we've seen him use the whole field so many times. Goes so naturally the opposite field, knows that he has to bust here because Church played it so well off the wall.
Now Willie's on his way to the mound. Do you go to Wagner for the 4-out save?
Yes.
Yes, you do, with Matsui up.
And this is something that Wagner has struggled with since becoming a Met, going more than 1 inning, but Willie's going to ask for that today to try and nail it down for Santana. This Verizon call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon. Switch to Verizon Fios, TV, internet, phone. Santana exits after 7 2/3. Well, for the first time this season, Billy Wagner will be asked to come on to get more than 3 outs for a save.
The big goose egg there. The ERA has not surrendered an earned run in his appearances this year. First time going out there in the 8th inning is Billy Wagner. He has started an inning in all of his other appearances. So instead of that wind-up that he worked on in spring training, he will be starting from the stretch.
It's a very good point, Ron.
Well, Billy has been in the middle of the headlines the last 48 hours. Now he's out on the firing line. Santana went 7 2/3, his longest outing as a Met. And now it's up to Wagner to get the final 4 outs, with the Mets leading 6-4, and Matsui coming to the plate as the tying run.
You see Matsui with that high average. Not as much production in the RBIs that you usually see from Matsui. His first year didn't hit for a lot of power, and then after that showed some power, but he's usually a great RBI hitter.
Well, he's 0 for 3 today. Came into the game hitting .279 against lefties. No home runs. All of his home runs have been off right-handers.
He's 1 for 4 in his career against Wagner as he stands in with Jeter at 2nd and 2 down. And the slider to start him off for a call strike.
And a good one.
Wow, that is stunning. This is a team that has specialized in late inning magic over the last dozen years, but the Yankees have not won a game when trailing after 7 this year. And Matsui takes a fastball for a strike at 96, and it's 0-2.
That was some high petrol right there, Keith.
Who had some plate too up. I think Matsui might have been looking for something else. As Willie adjusting. Who's he moving over? Castillo.
0-2. Slider rolled over right at Castillo, right where he was repositioned. Side retired. Wagner throws 3 pitches and gets a big out of the 8th. Now he'll have to cool down and heat up again for the 9th. Mets with a 6-4 lead. Well, Billy Wagner threw 3 pitches. First time he had pitched in an 8th inning since that infamous 2-inning meltdown in Philadelphia at the end of August last year. Now the question is, what happens when he goes out for the 9th?
Well, we've always talked about that, right? That sometimes it's just he is an adrenaline junkie kind of pitcher that just loves to feed off that kind of energy. And you got to make sure that when you're on there, as you see Billy talking to Johan Santana, that you get your wits and know that the 3 more outs.
Now this was Wagner coming off after getting that big out.
John Maine.
Mike Pelfrey.
Starting pitcher.
Well, speaking of adrenaline, here's Jabba Chamberlain as he takes them out for the Yankees for the top of the 9th.
Well, this young man, what a year he had last year. Played at 4 different levels. Anyone who lives here in New York knows his story. And just an excellent job for the Yankees last season, and has continued it this year.
Mets' first time getting a look at Chamberlain. He did not come up last year until after the Subway Series games. And David Wright, first pitch swinging, grounds the 98-mile-an-hour fastball out to Cano. 1 pitch and 1 out. So David, who has 3 hits on the day, including a 2-run homer, that right now is the difference in the game, went up there looking to attack against Chamberlain. 1 out.
If you're a right-handed hitter, you cannot get to that slider. It's just that nasty. It reminds me of Brad Lidge when he first came up for Houston. His stuff, that kind of slider.
Barely see those eyes with that cap pulled down. There's Beltran, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Carlos with 2 hits today. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. He's stolen a base. Mets have 11 hits and lead 6-4, looking for insurance in the 9th. And the slider rolled down to first. Giambi gloves it. It's a foul ball. Beltran running it out 0-2. Well, Johan Santana went 7 2/3, allowed 4 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 3 home runs. But the Mets with 3 scratch runs in the 4th and then 3 in the 7th with homers by Reyes and Wright have themselves a 6-4 lead. And you know, this all along was the game in the series that the Mets really needed to win with Santana, especially now in a 2-game series when they face Chen-Ming Wang tomorrow night.
Lays toward the gap in left center. Cutting over is Cabrera. Dives. Can't get it. It rolls to the wall. Beltran to second. He's going to take the turn there and try for 3. Damon with the weak throw into Jeter. And so Beltran arrives easily with his 3rd triple of the year. I don't think Beltran was thinking about a triple till he realized it was Damon who was going to have to play the ball off the wall.
Well, good fastball, high and away, up and away. The beautiful swing, and Beltran has been getting hot, has been hot. Nice effort by Cabrera. And he's got such the beautiful strides. He just puts it into gear. Carlos been swinging a very, very good bat for the last 8-9 days.
So that'll force the Yankees to bring the infield in with Moises Alou at the plate. In a spot where Chamberlain needs a strikeout. Now Lou tries to lay off the slider, but he went around. Bob Davidson with the call, 0-1.
And there's that slider you were talking about, Ronnie, the right-hand hitters.
It doesn't matter how hard you throw. Everyone knows that first pitch, the Moises Alou, you have to go with the breaking pitch.
Now Lou's been on base 3 times today. Single, walk, hit by pitch. And he swings at the slider and misses, and it's 0-2.
It's hard, it's late, it's off the plate.
It just means that when a pitcher throws a breaking ball like that, he's got such great spin on the ball.
And he throws another one this time. Now Lou able to stop the swing, 1-2.
Well, back in our day, we'd be screaming in the bench, stop begging.
And of course, you got to have confidence in Chad Moeller in this spot. He's already blocked a number of tough pitches in the dirt today.
Moeller's shown be a great defensive catcher. I think his shortcomings is with the bat.
Three sliders in a row to Alou. And one more in there for a call, strike 3. Big strikeout for Chamberlain. Now they're at 2 down.
I don't think Moises was going to get thrown out again. That ball was, I thought, was down. We'll take a peek at it. It has plenty of plate. Let's see. I thought it was low.
Yeah, it looks low when Moeller caught it. The problem is that it's so sharp and so late that the catcher isn't even able to frame it. That ball brought Moeller's glove straight down into the dirt.
And you know what? If he was ever going to get thrown out, this would be the spot. He's not going to play the field in the 9th inning anyway.
Pick your spots, you're saying.
Yeah. So here's Delgado, who had a pop fly single that eluded Jeter in the sun his last time up. 1 for 4 on the day in tight. And you know, Beltran faked that run down the line against Pettitte earlier in the game. You would think against the younger Chamberlain that he might be inclined to try it again.
Difference is left-handed pitcher Pettitte, right-handed pitcher Chamberlain in the stretch looking right at Beltran. Can't miss him.
We saw Reyes do that against Brett Myers successfully a couple of years ago. Delgado takes the fastball for a strike. 1-1.
The problem is Gonzalez is so far off the line that Beltran can really, I mean, if Chamberlain had decided to go in the windup, he could think of stealing home.
That's the last steal of home. Straight steal came here at Yankee Stadium. Good slider by Chamberlain, and Moeller knocks it down. 1-2. There's Roger Cedeno stealing home a few years ago. Oof. What a slider.
Tough pitch to lay off. And he's got to throw another one in the dirt, but you got to be careful with the runner on third. But
so far, Moeller's been completely up to that task.
I think he's going to throw a fastball inside.
Slider.
Slider, you got it, Chief.
In the dirt.
1-2 to Delgado. And he lays off, and Moeller knocks down another one. 2-2.
Well, you said it, Gary, that with Posada out, they've been going with Moeller, who's primarily a defensive specialist, and we've seen it all day today. That is just textbook.
And Jose Molina, also a very good defensive catcher. They've been sharing that job.
Staying with the slider, Keith?
If you can throw a fastball up in his eyes, out of the strike zone, see if he'll go up the ladder. What do you think?
Ball in.
2-2. Up and in, and it's 3-2 to Delgado.
Delgado laid off. You got easily in the on-deck circle, and you got Chavez left on the bench from the left side of the plate.
And you got to bring Chavez in anyway for defense, so you might as well have Andy bat, you would think.
Well, that's a natural play by the pitcher there. 2-2. Fastball up, trying to throw something out of the strike zone to set up that 3-2 slider.
(3-2) to Delgado. Slider popped up in foul ground. Gonzalez over, looking for a play.
Oh no!
It gets blown back the other way by the wind, and he can't find it. That wind has really freshened up over the last 10 minutes or so, and it blew the ball back away from the stands and away from Alberto Gonzalez, and so Delgado gets another chance.
Well, they got some young players here. You got to think that A-Rod would have been there, would have made the plays. Mistake is he looks to the wall, and that's when he lost it. And that's when it's made its movement. He just.
Well, I think, Keith, when the wind freshens like that, you also have to take a peek as a third baseman. He's also way off the line, so it's a lot further run for him to get over there. But still, A-Rod, knowing the stadium as well as anyone, would know where that ball would end up.
He probably should have peeked for that wall a little sooner.
This will be the 7th pitch to Delgado.
Curveball.
And he lines it foul. The curveball stayed up.
Wow.
So Chamberlain going to his 3rd pitch.
He just wanted to audition for us to let us know he can start. Slider, curveball, jeez. I don't know. When you have 97 miles an hour, fastball up or in, got to be your play here. Hate to make a mistake.
Fastball in, Ronnie.
3-2.
Pulled toward the hole, base hit, and that chases home Beltran to make it 7-4. What a great turn at bat for Carlos Delgado. Found that small hole on the right side, picks up his 18th run batted in, and it's 7-4 Mets.
Fastball meant to be in, right down the middle and down. Around mid-thigh.
That was a great at-bat by Delgado.
And a little emotion there from Beltran. So now we're going to get a pinch hitter for Damian Easley, but it's not going to be Chavez, because if you do that, you lose the DH, and just in case the Yankees were to tie it, Willie doesn't want to do that. So he'll send up Marlon Anderson here to bat for Easley in the DH spot. Carlos Delgado had a very rough start to his day today, but what a terrific finish that last at bat.
Well, off a tough right-hander and job at Chamberlain, and worked the count to 3-2. Fouled off some pitches, got himself a fastball, and he drives in a very, very big run late. So that always feels good. And he's been struggling, as you said, Gary.
Or maybe that pop fly Jeter lost in the sun got him going. And Marlin takes it wide, 1-1.
How about the foul pop-up that Gonzalez could not corral?
Yeah, right. The inning should have been over.
True. Let's get an extra chance because the rookie could not find that foul pop up in the wind.
Well, maybe the Teflon is off the pan because Java Chamberlain has given up a 2-run home run late to get a loss for the Yankees. Now has 2 losses, gives up a base hit and a run here.
Hey, you go around the league,
Yeah.
hitters catch on. You know, you can have good stuff, but the hitters will catch on to your stuff.
That's now 13 hits on the day as Marlin takes a strike 1 and 2.
You go through the league the first time and no one's seen you and no one knows what you have, and if you've got great stuff to boot, well, you've got a good chance of mowing through the league. But everybody puts it in the back of their head, all their experiences of hitting the first time around, and can kind of get a feel for them. The more that you face them, you get a feel for it. Lou Brock told me in my career the big leagues will get easier as you go along because you're facing the same pitchers year in, year out, and you'll get a feel for them.
But here you've got Mets players who are facing Chamberlain for the first time, but you know, it's a lot easier to go to school than it used to be with all the video that guys watch.
The video's fine, Gary, but there's no substitute for being in that batter's box and your eye out of the picking up the ball out of the pitcher's hand and getting that feel for how hard he throws, his movement, how sharp his breaking ball is. Does he tip a pitch?
Yeah, but you know, mathematically this can sometimes give you the tendencies, so at least you know maybe going into the box what his tendencies are to throw on a first pitch, people on base.
3-2 to Anderson. The runner goes and he fouls it off. So in addition to everything else in this inning, now the Mets are making Chamberlain work a little bit. He's up to 22 pitches in the inning. Remember, you've got another game tomorrow night in this series. And so Joe Girardi has to be conscious of that. And he's got another right-hander up in his bullpen. He does not want to push Chamberlain too far, you wouldn't think, here in the top of the ninth. Mets have seen a ton of pitches today. Delgado runs, and Anderson strikes out on the breaking ball. That ends the inning, but the Mets tack on an insurance run. Carlos Beltran driving one to the gap in left center to pick up his 3rd triple of the year. And then after a long turn at bat, Carlos Delgado driving him in. 7-4 New York as Wagner goes back to the mound.
With a MasterCard Grand Slam ticket pack, 4 discounted tickets and Mets money. For more information, get your MasterCard and visit Mets.com today.
Here's your Toyota out-of-town scoreboard. Despite 2 Alfonso Soriano home runs, the Pirates get a 2-run homer from Nate McLouth in the 9th to beat the Cubs 7-6. St. Louis leads Tampa Bay 8-7 in the 8th. There you see Cleveland and Cincinnati just underway. Same for the Dodgers and Angels. And Milwaukee at Boston. All no score in the 1st. Andy Chavez takes over in left field for defense as we go to the bottom of the 9th. Billy Wagner, who got the final out in the 8th, tries to finish off the save. Jason Giambi leads off and fouls the first pitch off, 0-1. Well, Wagner had a long time in the dugout after getting that last out in the 8th, and that goes back to what you were talking about before, Ronnie.
Yeah, but I think that that long wait is worth it when you're a relief pitcher and your team gets you another run, insurance run. Nice to work with 3 here in the 9th.
Little flare over 3rd, and that'll fall in for a base hit. Chavez chases it to the line, and Giambi will take no chances and stop at first base. So Giambi with his 2nd straight hit, and the Yankees have the leadoff man on against Wagner in the 9th.
Well, he's jammed the heck here, and that's just an inside out. And
I mean, he was jammed so bad he had no idea where the ball was.
Clearly, Jason must have been wearing his gold lame thong.
Well, that's very important.
That's the story the Yankees have had to deal with this week. The revelation that Giambi has this gold lame thing,
superstition,
that he's had since 1996 that he puts on when he's in a slump and then lends out to teammates when they're in slumps.
It's a little bit too much information.
Well, you know, you and I got into a very...
That's even too much information for you?
You and I got into a fascinating underwear discussion the other night. I figured this was the the culmination.
Right out of
2-0 now to Cano. So Wagner working the 8th inning today for the first time since that game in Philadelphia last August. Remember Jason Worth running wild in that inning, and it's not the 8th that you worry about with Billy. It's more coming back for the 9th.
Well, that run in the 9th inning that Delgado drove in looms very large right now.
And there's a strike to Cano, 2-1.
Billy, it's such a ballpark. It's such a left-handed lineup with a short porch, 2-run lead, fly ball. It's a tie ball game, and that run is so critical.
Cano is 0 for 3 today. And he takes a fastball for a strike, 2-2. Checking the count with Mike Riley.
Broken bat, Wright with a knockdown, but he has no play. And the Yankees will get the tying run to the plate. The bat shattered. Wright did well to get to it, but couldn't make it stick in the glove. And it's an infield hit for Cano.
Well, another overmatch here. Broken bat, fastball, but he stayed level. That's good hitting by Cano on a good pitch. And David just eats him up.
So now Melky Cabrera, a switch hitter, will stand in from the right side against Wagner. Tying run at the plate. Cabrera has 6 home runs this season. Nobody out. 7-4 Mets, 9th inning. And it's popped up. Shallow right. Church is there. With the glasses on, he's got it for the first out. So 1 pitch and Cabrera retired. And now let's see what Joe Girardi does. He only has a 3-man bench, but he's got Morgan Ensberg and Shelley Duncan in that dugout. And it's going to be Duncan. So Shelley Duncan, who certainly is a home run threat, will come up to bat for Alberto Gonzalez as the tying run.
Well, he got off to a slow start this year, but I think you can argue with those great comeback by the Yankees in the second half last year. Big differences were Jabba Chamberlain's pitching and Shelley Duncan's energy.
Well, his brother has all of a sudden gotten red hot in St. Louis. So we'll see what Shelley Duncan's got. Hitting just 200 this year without a home run.
He's hit home runs in the minor leagues. He hit 25 last year at Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Duncan's had just 35 at bats in the big leagues this year. Wagner will be facing him for the first time. First and second, 1 out. And Duncan swings over the slider. 0-1.
Got to be careful with that pitch. I think that the fastball can overmatch Duncan, but that slider down and in, his kind of swing, he likes the ball down. Very unusual for a right-handed hitter.
Low and inside. 1-1. Now Chad Moeller is out on deck, or at least he was. And now he's gone back in the dugout, and Morgan Ensberg has come out on deck instead. Slider hit toward right field, a foul ball. And that one hung.
That was not a good pitch.
Almost Duncan jammed himself, Keith.
Yeah, he was going to go to right field. He was set up to right. You can see his full body weight carrying him over towards first base.
It's been a struggle for Billy here in the 9th. Looking for a double play ball here to get this thing over with. 1-2. Popped up. Coming back is Schneider. Sheds the mask, has room. 2 out. So Duncan fouls out as a pinch hitter, and now the Yankees are down to their final out. And another home run threat will come up as a pinch hitter as Morgan Ensberg will bat for Chad Moeller.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Ensberg, whose career has taken a sharp downhill plunge over the last couple of years.
Well, he had the big years at Houston. And boy, he fell off a cliff. You're absolutely right, Gary.
You see the numbers on Ensberg this season. One time hit 35 home runs in a big league season, but he's a long way from that now. 2 on and 2 out. And Wagner starts him off with a fastball strike on the inside edge, 0-1. Tomorrow night, Oliver Perez against Chen Ming Wang in the second and final game of this series. And the slider on the inside corner, a strike. And now Wagner 1 strike away.
Well, Ensberg's got to be right on top of the plate for those to be strikes. Wagner just going right after him inside.
Outside. These are those moments when you're at Yankee Stadium and you can hear the chant of "Let's go Mets." These are the moments that you understand just how special this rivalry is.
Oh, in the house that Ruth built, they're chanting it.
Slider just off the plate. 2-2.
This is a close pitch to take. Let's see if it was away.
No.
Oh, at plate.
Catches plenty of plate.
Woo! Maybe down.
Well, Alou would say no. Moises Alou in that Chamberlain slider.
2-2. Off the plate. And now after getting ahead 2 strikes, Wagner's gone 4 on Ensberg, so that'll send the runners in motion. Take away a chance for a force at second or third. But the only man that matters is Ensberg in the batter's box, as Met fans resort to prayer. (3-2) to Ensberg. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. Billy Wagner notches his 9th save of the year. Johan Santana wins his 4th in a row. Reyes and Wright with home runs. And on a day when the Mets so badly needed a win to turn the page, they get one here in the Bronx.
3-run homer, Carlos Beltran.
Do you know what I do in my spare time?
Join the Mets and the Mayor's Volunteer Center to make a difference in your community. Volunteering, mentoring, or just lending a hand. Find out more at Mets.com/TeamMets.
This game, Santana gets his 5th win. He came up big when they had to. Reyes and Wright with the home runs. And after that little inning where they barely got the ball out of the infield, scored 3 runs, they added on 4 more add-on runs, key to this ball game.
Well, a big ball game, obviously, here. Clearing the air, all this stuff that went on for 48 hours. And look at the reaction here. 3-2 count. Ball game over. There you have it.
That bench was very animated the entire game today. A good thing to see.
Well, there's a lot to smile about on a day like this for Willie Randolph and his ball club. Billy Wagner gets his first 4-out save of the year. And he will be the center of attention in that clubhouse after the game, as Wagner, who has talked his way into a corner a couple of times this year, pitches his way out of a jam in the 9th and helps secure a victory for the Mets this afternoon. Your IOTV game summary: as the Mets pound out 13 hits, Santana wins his 4th straight. Wagner saves it as David Wright and Jose Reyes hit home runs, and the Mets win it 7-4.
But when you guys have a team meeting, can actually pull the team together. I mean, is that a possibility here? You guys have a meeting, air it out, and you feel pretty good about yourselves and play a good game today?
Well, I don't think it is automatic, but obviously when there's a few things that you need to talk about, it's nice to get them out of the way and go back to playing ball, which is the reason why we're here, you know, to go out and get it done. Meetings don't get it done, you know, you have to go out and play on the field.
First of all, let's talk about your at-bat there in the ninth. There was a huge run. You've played too many games in the stadium to know about comebacks from the Yankees. Tell me, take us through the at-bat against Chamberlain and what you saw from him there.
Well, I've never seen the guy before. All I know is that a really good fastball, really good slider. So, you know, I decided to take a pitch, slow myself down, and then got to a situation where, you know, I was aware of the slider, and, you know, I got a righty hitting on deck, first base open. So I just wanted to be, you know, calm. And then I got a fastball and an 8.5, and I was able to get the bat through.
What was your view of the play at the plate? I mean, it seemed like once that play was made, the relay from Castillo to Schneider, once that out was recorded, it seemed like everything changed. Santana got into a great groove after that.
He sure did. I think we executed that cutoff really well. You know, Church got the ball to Castillo, and we killed their momentum here. It was a great play for us, and Santana, he was very efficient, working fast, threw some good, you know, quality strikes, and got us back in the dugout.
Carlos, thanks for the time. Congrats.
Thank you.
Guys, back up to you.
Coming up next, make sure to join Matt Yeloff and all the analysts. That's Lee Mazzilli, Harold Reynolds, Darryl Strawberry, a cast of billions for your Mets-Yankees post-game coverage.